Good evening, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Patrick. Today we're going to be going over one of my favorite microconsoles. Really underrated product, but I've backed it for a very long time. It is the Ouya. Now, an Ouya is, as I mentioned, classified as a microconsole. So this is no Xbox or PlayStation killer by any stretch of the imagination. But for just under $100, this adds an entirely new element to any video gamer. It can bring back all your retro games, so if you want to get back into your retro games and you don't want to have to buy all these special converters and cables and still need some old TVs with certain inputs to get all that to work, a retro micro console like this is also very, very great. So we'll get into this. I'll talk a little bit more about it. Let's just go over some dimensions. So 3 inches by 3 inches, and it's about 3.5 inches deep. We have some brushed aluminum that's here on the side. You can see Ouya that's etched on the front. Up top here we have some 4 hex screws that hold the top on. Very, very easy to do mods with this. It's basically a system on a chip that slides in here vertical, and you can take it out. I'll take it out in another video. Very easy mods. There's tons of stuff you can do with this console that you can't do with your normal PlayStation or Xbox or some of those major brands. So inside here is that system on a chip, just one chip. It's got a little fan in there, some power buttons, LEDs, and some inputs. We'll talk about the inputs first. So you have your power in. This is micro USB for storage expansion or plugging it into the computer to do debugging or SDK files. If you're interested in modding it or something like that, you might use that, but it's rarely used. This is a 10100 Ethernet port. A little disappointed it's not gigabit, especially for a product that's older than 2010s, but still works. HDMI 1.4. And this, where this little dongle is a USB port. I just have a little flash drive in here, one of these, just a 16 gig flash drive. On the inside, it does have 8 gigs onboard storage, or 16, depending on what model you get. This is the first generation model. There is a second generation model they came out with this time last year, and it's got 16 gigs built in. But you can easily expand it as much as you want. Just realize that there's a gross cut on my hand. So you have that storage expansion here in the back. So continuing with what's on the inside, it uses a NVIDIA Tegra 3 quad-core 1.7 gigahertz CPU, which is pretty impressive, especially for when this originally came out. Also a NVIDIA-based GPU. A gig of RAM, 8 gigs onboard storage. It does have Bluetooth 4.0 in it. No wireless though. Maybe it does have wireless. Yeah, I think it does have wireless now that I think about it. I just use, it does have wireless. 802.11 BGN, no dual band, no AC. So it does have Wi-Fi in it. Wi-Fi is not great. Obviously with any tech product, if it has a wired LAN port on it, you're going to want to use it. Obviously, wired connection is generally twice as fast and 100% more reliable than a Wi-Fi connection, and it's what I use. So enough about this. On the bottom, one more thing. We'll go on the bottom here. You've got some rubber feet on the bottom, your usual FCC information, and this little ring around here is for the fan, so that air can escape. There was some complaints originally about this device, and it would overheat and other things like this in this metal box because there's not much space on the top. Mine is just the power button right here, and the power button illuminates with the console's logo when you power it on. But the heat issue that's with this has since been resolved with some software updates. They do a lot of updates to their software and firmware and other things like that, and that was kind of a really early on issue, but that was pretty quickly fixed. So next thing that comes in the box when you buy that is this, and this is their accompanying controller. Feels very good in the hands. One of the bigger controllers. The design on the back is very, very basic. But if you're a person with larger hands, I don't have larger hands, but one of the biggest pluses that praises that I've heard about this is if you have larger hands and the Xbox 360 and PlayStation controllers are a little small for you, this is a great console to go with. So you've got your trigger buttons here, which aren't the best. Bumpers are good, very tactile. They don't wear out after a long time. You have your analog sticks that we're all familiar with, a D-pad that we're all familiar with. This is kind of a Ouya button in there. You can see their icon. That's the same thing that illuminates on the front there. And then instead of your X, Y, A, B, or square, circle, triangle, X buttons, this has OUYA, which is kind of cool. I'm glad that they kept the same generic controller layout, but kind of made their own thing to it. And this does communicate with Bluetooth with the device, so you have that standard Bluetooth range of 33 feet. But I recommend being inside that range because depending on your battery life, you'll see some lag and some issues with sending commands to the system. So try to sit close. And then when you hit this button here up at the top, it's obviously looking for the console over there, but it won't find it. And then if you are successfully connected, one of those 4 LEDs will illuminate to indicate which player you are. Now these pads over here, it does come with the brushed aluminum looking covers here. Good thing about this controller is those covers are replaceable. So just a couple magnets, pretty strong magnets, hold this in. You can take these off. They're interchangeable. I obviously bought some blue ones. I also have orange ones. They come in a whole bunch of different colors. So the controller is customizable, which is very, very cool. And then AA batteries on this side and AA batteries on that side. So they're not rechargeable. Maybe they'll, you know, if they do an Ouya 2 or something like that, maybe they'll go with rechargeable. But sometimes it's kind of nice just to have AA batteries so you can swap them out on the fly. And battery life is very, very good on these. I've had this for 2 years, only replaced it once, and I play this a couple times a week. So that just slips back on there. One more thing to note: this area up here above the controls there, this is used as a trackpad, mouse pad. So Ouya and its operating system is based loosely on Android 4.1. But they have their own skin on it just like everybody else. Android's very customizable, as we all know. But it does have a browser. It still functions like Android. If you dive way deep into the operating system, you'll find some Android remnants, things that we recognize from our Android devices. It does have an open browser and a whole bunch of other things. So it does have that trackpad in here that'll light up a mouse, and you'll be able to navigate through browsers and web pages and the console a little bit easier if you're not into using the controls that you have there. So this is the controller. It does come with one of those when you buy the console. It ranges from $99 to $129, but they're not always easy to get. For example, on Amazon right now, they are completely sold out, even their new generation console. So this tends to be a hot item. Back to the console, I guess. Like I had mentioned, it's based on Android. Really, really great. Obviously, no discs, no physical media required. Physical media is kind of very 1990s. Obviously, none of our phones or anything require that, which is really nice that they went this route. So all games are downloaded and stored on here just like you would with your phone. No physical media required. Works very well as an emulator box. So if you install a couple apps on here to emulate some of your old games, everything from PlayStation to Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Game Boy, all that good stuff, and then load up a small flash drive like I have with some of your favorite emulators, you can turn this into an awesome throwback console. Now with the specs are pretty good, but they're definitely not the best. But everything is custom created. All games are custom created for this setup. So just like Xbox and just like PlayStation, it knows how to, the programmers know how to program that specific game to that specific console, which is why it looks beautiful and it doesn't require a $2,000 gaming PC to replicate. This does the same thing. It might not have the biggest and best specs in the world, but it does a very, very good job, and it's impressive what kind of games they put out for this. Now this is kind of an indie-based console, so if you're into indie games, definitely. If you're into retro games, definitely get this. If you're expecting to play Call of Duty and Forza and other games that really compete with big name consoles and big name game companies, this is not for you. This is a totally different experience. This is a whole new world into video games. This is a console that you can sit in front of for 6 hours, and this is a console that you can sit in front of for 15 minutes. And the games are ever expanding. They have over 1,000 games. You can always go to Ouya's website and show a full list of games, which ones are popular. You can sort it by any different game that you're looking for. There are some very, very impressive games on here that look amazing. So there's a lot of things that this little console can do. It's also very moddable. I don't know if moddable is a word, but I'm going to make it a word today. A lot of things that you can do with the software. People install XBMC as a media player. Works awesome as a media box. A lot of things you can do with some of the USB ports. You can do different outs. You can hook it up to a surround sound system. A lot of different software mods that you can do to it since it is based on Android. So software possibilities are endless. Also hardware possibilities. You don't see too many people tearing down Xbox Ones and PlayStation 4s and putting them in new cases and modding the fans and doing other things like that because it's a lot of work. But to mod this, it's super easy. Take 4 screws off. This lid comes off. You literally pull the board out of here without nicking up all the ports on the back, and you can swap out the fan. The fan's a little bit noisy in this, but obviously if you're across the room, it's not going to be too much of an issue. And depending on what kind of games you play, the hardware in here handles it pretty darn well. But if you're interested in modding the fan, you want to put some LEDs or something like that in there, make it look cool, you can do that. I've done it with this console. There's also 3D printed cases. There's new cases that you can get. Some make them look like, Mario puzzle boxes or Zelda, or there's a ton of different 3D printing combinations that you can quickly print something up that fits everything inside. You just transplant the guts to that new case, and it is amazing what some people do online with this console. So a lot of possibilities. Don't go buying this to replace your Xbox 360 or PlayStation or whatever you have. This is a MicroConsole. It's a totally different experience. It is a whole new world of video gaming. The type of video games, how you play them, the controller is different. How you interact with other players are very, very different. A lot of these games don't have like Xbox Live or PlayStation or this massive online network to link players. If you want to play with somebody else, they need to be on your couch sitting next to you playing a 4-player game or something like that. And they have some awesome multiplayer games on this. Just to name a few, they have like a duck hunt sort of game where you go around as these ducks and you kill each other, and they have games that are equivalent to like Halo that you go around and kill each other, and they have a ton of different games, adventure games. Final Fantasy 3, they did a port to this for Final Fantasy, so it's really, really great for just about any type of game that you're interested in. And there are new games coming out every day. If you're a developer or a programmer interested in designing your own video game, you can do that with this console. It's very, very easy. I'm actually working on my own. So a lot of possibilities. It's 99 bucks. It is absolutely awesome. If you have a friend or somebody like that that's really into gaming, or you're interested in that last minute Christmas gift, and Ouya is definitely a way to go. Really underrated. A lot of people look past it because, oh, it's not an Xbox. Oh, it can't do everything PlayStation can. But if you manage your expectations and look at it with an open eye, and you're a little bit tech savvy, you can really do some amazing things with this little box. So I definitely recommend it. This was the first time I've actually unplugged it from my TV since I owned it way back in 2013, 2012, 2013 when I picked this up. So this has been a review of the Ouya first generation. Second generation is a little bit different, different color and a little bit different specs on the inside. So this is the Ouya. This is the Ouya controller. Like the video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. If you have any questions or comments for me at all, you want to help. You have one of these and need help setting it up, or you want links to put XBMC on it, or you're looking for some interesting games and you have one of these collecting dust and you're looking to revive the console and you're looking for some games, leave me a comment. I'll help you out. Thank you for watching, guys. We will see you next time.